Hello, I'm Elif and this is a recap for episode 111 of the series For My Family, 24 hours after Turkey and before dubbed for TV. Omar goes to the house of a woman who had poisoned emails canned food to demand an explanation. The woman's husband comes out and confronts Omar aggressively. Omar grabs him by the collar in frustration. The man pushes Omar, and he falls down the stairs. Despite his anger, Omar approaches the man again, but restrains himself and says, "I won't create trouble this time. I'm going to the police." Everyone gathers around Fatma, questioning her about the whereabouts of the money. Fatma can't remember anything. Everyone starts searching for the money, turning the house upside down. With nowhere else to stay, Akif goes to a hotel at night, but when he tries to pay for the room, he realizes his cards are invalid. He calls Nabahat, who calmly admits to rendering his cards useless. Nabahat says, "You're such a fool. Go have a good time with other women, I'll cover your expenses. You're just an employee now. Wait for your salary at the end of the month." Akif reluctantly goes to Tolga's house. Omar goes to the hospital and, after dressing his wounds, tells the police about the man who assaulted him. When Omar returns home, Yulcan briefs him on the money situation. Omar decides to start searching the area from tomorrow morning to find the culprits. Ayla goes to the school to see Cheval and asks her to hire Bark as a service worker. Cheval agrees. Elif, who is not happy about this, warns her father not to cause any trouble. Susan tells Nabahat at the club that she is pregnant. Nabahat is excited, but Susan is not happy at all. Nabahat says she should tell Yaman about it as he is also responsible for the child. When Susan wants to talk to Yaman, Soraya intercepts her and reveals that she will marry Yaman next week. Susan regrets saying anything. Susan, upset with Omar's behavior the day before, gives him a stern look at school. However, when she sees Omar's facial wounds and understands what happened, she empathizes with him. Bark introduces his father to his friends and, with regret, describes how they sold him to Ayla for money. Omar remarks, "At least you had a price. They just threw me in the mosque's courtyard. But it'll be alright. I didn't like Mrs. Susan at first, but now our relationship is good." That night, Tolga is not at home, and Akif remains homeless, reluctantly going to Susan's house. Susan directs him, and as soon as he sits down, he sees Susan's test results and realizes she is pregnant. Akif says they should inform Yaman as soon as possible. Susan, aware of Akif's intention to separate Yaman and Soraya, scolds him and says he has no right to tell anyone anything. 5 days pass, and Yulcan tries always to jog her grandmother's memory, but Fatma still remembers nothing. The man Omar complained about blocks his way and asks him to withdraw the complaint. When Omar refuses, the man offers him money. Omar gets angry, and the man resorts to threats. Omar says, "You should be punished. Go, or I'll report you for your threats." In school, based on a previous lottery, children exchange gifts. Ayaz gives Asiya gloves because he remembers her hands get cold quickly in the cold. Asiya has also crafted a doll of Ayaz's favorite character for him, making Ayaz very happy. Elif pays her tuition to Cheval. Cheval briefly leaves the room, and Gökhan, Bark's father, and Elif enter. When Cheval returns to the room and sees the money is missing, she panics and goes in search of the money. Elif, who saw her father leaving the room, approaches her and warns her to return the money quickly to avoid disgrace. Gökhan denies any involvement, but Elif doesn't believe him. Shortly after, the principal informs Cheval that she has handed the money to the accounting department. Elif becomes very upset upon hearing this. Bark walks alongside Elif, and she says, "You don't understand. Why should one doubt their father? He has stolen money from us countless times." Bark replies, "But he wants to change. He needs a chance." Sarp and Lydia discuss the wheelchair theft incident involving Omar, and they laugh, knowing that Omar and Susan overheard their conversation. Omar scolds Lydia and Sarp for their actions and leaves. Lydia cries and tells Sarp, "Omar doesn't even look at me anymore. I've lost him." Sarp responds, "Did you really have Omar when you treated him badly? He loves Susan. Have some pride." Lydia says angrily, "What's with these attitudes? Just because I casually told Asiya that I like you, does that mean you can act this way?" and storms off. Asiya works at a fast food restaurant, coincidentally owned by Ayaz's friend. When Ayaz comes to visit his friend, he's surprised to see Asiya. He seizes the opportunity to offer help on her first day. They spend the whole day working together and bond. In the evening, everyone except Sarp and Lydia gathers at Tolga's house to celebrate New Year's Eve. They talk about the good events of the past year, and Asiya sings for them. Later, they all dance together. At the club, Nabahat becomes jealous seeing Akif casually chatting and laughing with the staff. She approaches him and tells him that she wants a divorce. Lydia visits Sarp, who is sitting alone in his room, and tells him she doesn't want to spend New Year's Eve alone. They go out together, and Lydia says she no longer thinks about Omar because there is a better and more handsome person beside her. Sarp is happy. Yaman, Soraya, and Nabahat spend the night together at the club, enjoying their time. Akif, who is drunk, becomes envious and decides to ruin their night. He approaches Yaman and says, "Congratulations. You're becoming a dad." Susan is carrying Emel's child. Yaman is shocked, and Soraya slams her ring on the table, saying, "Damn you." Yaman goes to Susan's house and asks, "Why didn't you tell me about Emel?" Susan replies, "I don't think it concerns you. You can continue with Soraya." Yaman says, "Soraya returned the ring. But to be honest, I wasn't upset. I really care about you." He tells Susan that he's alone, and if she wants, they can spend New Year's Eve together. Susan agrees. Akif goes to Nabahat's house and looks at her and Bahar with regret. He calls Nabahat and asks her to forgive him. Nabahat responds by throwing a bucket of water at him. Just before the start of the new year, Fatma's eyes fall on Emel's doll, and happily, she tells Orhan, "I remember. I put the money in this." New Year arrives, but as Omar goes out to buy drinks, he is attacked by the men he had complained about, and he gets beaten. While lying on the ground, he looks up at the fireworks and laughs heartily. Thank you for watching, stay tuned for the next episode.